Hey guys, it's Danny Elliott. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me today. So I want to talk to the millennials and the zoomers, since that's most of my audience, about the cost of living crisis. Because I was watching a video from a guy in the UK, and he was talking about, home prices in the UK and how the council tax is just completely insane, and their home prices are not even as high as like our average home price in the US. And people are fleeing the UK right now. Especially people that have money, because the government is just going after everyone to steal as much tax revenue as possible. And I just wanted to bring this up because there is a coming wave of demographic collapse in the US, and millennials and zoomers need to know that the cost of living crisis is your problem. You have to fix this. You can't just sit here and just hope for a miracle that we're going to grow our way out of this thing, because we're not going to grow our way out. And also, your real estate is not going to save you either. Like, I just saw an article, and they think that, okay, this is the bottom, guys. It's time to buy right now because there's been a 7, a 10, a 12% correction in housing. So it's time to buy because it's already the bottom. We just had the correction begin in the spring housing market where nothing happened. It was the silent spring. The houses that did sell sold way below list price. The sellers are not getting their number, but the few houses that sold below the list price, that means that, oh, this must be the bottom, must be time to rush in. Well, guess what? Nobody's buying anyways, because nobody can afford it, because the cost of living is insane in the West, all across the Western world. It's not just the US, even though we have the highest housing prices in the world. It isn't just the US, it's happening all across the West. So, I wanted to bring this up because what do you think is going to happen when the boomers actually need to sell their house? What's going to happen then? You're going to really see the prices come down, right? So this correction is going to take years to play out. The only way to fix the cost of living is to take your life in your own hands. You have to exercise your own agency. And that means you have the agency to not stay living in the US or living in the UK. Like for some reason it's okay to report about the millionaires leaving the UK, but what about average people? What about just regular people that have some source of passive income that are deciding, hey, I can cut my cost of living by 80%. I just have to leave. That's why I'm looking at becoming a citizen of Ecuador, because it's easy. I can go down there and get a professional visa, and in 5 years, by the time the real estate bottoms out in the United States, because guys, the 5 years is going to go by either way. So, you could just sit here and pray for a miracle. Pray that we're going to grow our way out of this, but we're not. It's just, if you go back and look at the charts of, the purchasing power of the US dollar inside the United States, it's just dropped off a cliff since 2019, 2020, right? I mean, everybody knows the cost of groceries, the cost of housing, the cost of everything has just skyrocketed. But the government's going to tell you it's 3% inflation, right? And you guys are I guess you guys believe it, right? Because a lot of you guys out there still want to buy a house right now, right at the all-time high prices, even though the rates are 7%. Nothing cash flows with 7% interest at these asking prices. Like, the prices have to come down. They have to come down a lot. And that's what's going to happen. That's going to happen the next several years. So, The only house I would buy is a house that cash flows, and I haven't seen one lately, so I haven't bought anything lately. But I'm looking to lower my costs. I want to run lean and mean, and I think that's what businesses are doing. That's why they're cutting jobs all across the country, Just go to dailyjobcuts.com for today's job cuts, because it's every single day. Thousands of people are getting their jobs cut. You think they're going to be able to afford these all-time high housing prices? Because I don't think so. But millennials and Zoomers got to figure this out, because we're the ones on the hook for this as the taxpayers here in the West. So the way to cut your cost of living is to live somewhere that it's not so costly. That's what I say. But I brought this up to a lot of people in my circle, and they all think that I'm crazy and I should just stay here because, things are getting better. I think, the older generation they just watch too much TV. And TV is, there's a reason they call it programming. It's because they're programming you. All they want to tell you is that everything just keeps going up, everything's wonderful in the stock market, housing always goes up, real estate, just buy it now, it's always going to appreciate. It's just nonsense, guys. But yeah, same thing in Great Britain that the US is going through. The people are having a cost of living crisis. The people are not making enough money at work to be able to pay for their food and their shelter and their clothes. And, life is just harder. People aren't having kids anymore. We have a demographic collapse unfolding right before our eyes. And everyone just wants to tell us that everything's fine, that there's nothing to worry about. In fact, they want to tell us we need more housing. We already have 16 million vacant homes in the U.S., but somehow we need to have more housing. Somehow, we should just keep on building more units, even though there's thousands of homes going up, spec homes in the southeastern U.S., and nobody's buying them. But yeah, we're just supposed to believe that there's a housing shortage and we should just keep on building more housing, even though nobody's buying the new homes that we have. And there's millions of people not paying their mortgage, which is never reported on in the mainstream news. So yeah, millennials and Zoomers, it's time to wake up. It's time for us to realize that this is not getting better, and there's no political solution to it. There's no way to vote yourself lower cost of living. You just need to live somewhere that it's less costly to live. And if you're making money online, you have passive income from rental property, it's time to go. It's not like this in other parts of the world. And they're not having a demographic collapse like we are. There's still boys and girls getting together. Women still support and appreciate their husbands, and they like little kids. Americans like their dogs better than they like children. Is this really the greatest place? Is this really a place that cares about the future generations? Is this a family-friendly place, to raise the next generation? I just don't think so. But that's my opinion. But, if you got an opinion on that, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Anyway, that's enough, guys. I just think it's good to try to solve these financial problems instead of just sit there and hope for a miracle. But if you like that episode, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching today. I'm Danny Elliott.